Greetings, fellow creatures of the universe, seekers of truth, wisdom, and light. This is Reverend Eliot, your friendly neighborhood esoteric practitioner, coming to you live tonight from the city of New York, where it isn't as cold as it has been. Whew, boy, that was a bit of a cold snap we had. But it's our 11th anniversary with you on Ask One Radio. Just think about that. Just 11 years ago, I first came on, and I was just a respectable middle-aged man, and now I'm an old geezer. How do you like that? Time flies when you're having fun. It's been 11 years. Oh man, that's a long time. I mean, I had marriages that didn't last that long, but this one is going to last for a long, long time, because I've got my deck of cards here, and I'm just itching to go because I love reading tarot for people. It's one of the things I like doing, is connecting with people. I missed a bunch of shows because of various illness things that hit. Let me tell you, what 2022 and 2021 and 2020 were like. Well, now we're going to be in 2023, and it won't be any different. You know what I mean. This is why I hear from people who are depressed now this time of year, and they tell me they're depressed because a terrible year is coming to an end, and they want it to be different, but they know it won't be. Well, of course, the calendar is meaningless in that sense. It's just that we turned the page on the calendar. I don't even have a calendar yet for 2023. I'm going to have to, maybe I'll go to a dry cleaner or a Chinese restaurant and pick up a calendar. But that's the way it goes. Nothing really changes in terms of the overall picture. The world, we're still the same people we always were. It's just that we have maybe different communications devices. This is relatively new, being able to do this, but we still have people. I mentioned the cold weather. There was a horrible storm, as you know, and many people they didn't make it out of this alive. But what gets me are the people who, they complain. The Sadhguru is famous for saying that as things get better and better in life, people complain more and more. Well, why are people complaining about missing flights when the flights were canceled, or let's say postponed, because it would have been deadly to fly? Why, of all the things that can get you angry, why would you choose that? I remember the last time I went to an airport was 1997, and people there were angry. It was a 6-hour flight I was getting ready for to go to Los Angeles, which used to be a 6-month trip. I don't mean by airplane. That would be really boring. I mean, they'd have to run Gone with the Wind every day, 4 times a day for 6 months. Forget it. The idea that it's become so convenient and so easy to do so many things now that when there's a speed bump, it irritates people. Or are many people looking just to be angry about something? Well, we just came out of an election. Elections nowadays are characterized by rage and anger. I'm not telling anybody what to do or not to do, but I'm just going to tell you, I don't participate in things that are populated by angry, enraged people. That's not my scene. I'm not into anger and rage. I'm into anger when there's a reason for it. Now, don't get me wrong. Don't even get me started about the people who say you shouldn't be angry. Don't be angry. You should be angry about things. Anger is a very healthy feeling that we have developed over the years. It lets us know that we're being treated badly. That's it. Anger is there to let you know that you're treated badly. To have anger all the time, it's not anger then, it's rage. And that's no good. That is no good. Rage is a terrible way to go. Rage will eat your insides out. Rage will take you to pieces. We've all seen folks who are perpetually angry, and it comes out in many different ways, and it's just a waste of effort. Now that leads me to the discussion of fear. That's another one. People say you shouldn't be afraid. You shouldn't have fear. Now, that's ludicrous. Fear is the perfectly legitimate feeling that lets you know that you're in danger. And your body does things for you when you're in fear. It gives you a shot of adrenaline to make you extra alert. Your body puts more blood into your arms and legs so you can fight or flight, as they put it, go into fight or flight. If you're fearless, you're just going to be a sucker for anything that comes along. But to live in constant fear is terror. And if you want to see an example of constant fear and terror, just look at the comment section in any major newspaper when they discuss COVID-19. There are people who are still adamantly afraid. They refuse to not be afraid. They're terrified and live in constant fear. That is more dangerous for you than any viral disease, this living in a state of constant fear, in a state of terror. And this is the way it goes. We live in a culture that advertises things, for the most part, based on fear. One of the most basic fears, I'm shuffling up the cards here, is that you're going to be left out and you're going to look ridiculous. And by doing that, they manage to get people to buy cars. New cars all the time. Let me tell you a story about that. When I was a kid, there was another kid there who boasted all the time that his father drove a Cadillac. This would have been in the late 60s. Yeah, my dad drives a Cadillac. And one day his father showed up in a Cadillac. And it was a 1950s Cadillac, and everybody laughed at the kid. And the kid was mortified. He was embarrassed. His father was driving a 12-year-old Cadillac that looked so out of date. It was just ridiculous. And he was humiliated. Now, if he had held on to that Cadillac for about another 15 years, it would have been a collector's item. And he would have been going down the street and people would say, look at that guy in that Cadillac. Wow, that's class. He's got one of the old Cadillacs, one of those good-looking ones. It's all about perspective. I write about this in the introductions to the book Unmasking Fear, this is a book I do promote relentlessly because we live in a fear-based world. And this is really, that's more frightening than the thing we're supposed to be afraid of. The idea that there's always some enemy out there we should be terrified of. The idea that there's somebody who's trying to do us in all the time. The idea that when the United States lost the Soviet Union as its enemy, the government, and they make no bones about this, they've said this, we had to find a common enemy. We had to find a new enemy. We needed a new enemy so that we could be united as a people. That's a horrible way to be united. Living in fear. Well, they've got the fear they wanted among a lot of people. The political ramifications of this, forget about. You know that fear is one of the biggest things that gets sold in elections. So this is why I mentioned that book, Unmasking Fear, which you can find at mojoacademy.org. It's a book from 1919. I've actually had this book reprinted. I wrote 2 introductions to it, not in 1919, I might add, quite recently. And I'm always happy when that book sells because it explains in a day before television and before radio even, and a time when there were long-distance phone calls were difficult to make. Nobody even refers to long-distance phone calls now as long-distance phone calls. They just refer to them as phone calls. These things were difficult. You know how it used to be done? You could see this sometimes in old movies. If you're in New York and you wanted to call somebody in Chicago, they had to make a phone call to the next city over, and the operator there would then make the phone call to the next city over, and the next over, and the next. And they would just patch this thing through until they finally got someone in Chicago. And that's why you would dial 411. No, that's information. 311, I believe it was, to do a long distance call so that they could prepare you for it. And it would take about an hour and a half to get your call through. Things have speeded up, but they haven't improved, is the way I look at it. Nevertheless, fear travels at the speed of terror. Let's the perfect example of how it's used politically is the wonderful movie of the classic Broadway musical, The Music Man, where a guy goes into a perfectly content little small town and he whips them into a frenzy over the evils that are going to come hit them because there's a pool table in the community, because they never had a pool table before. So it's something new, and it's something to be afraid of. And because of that, he whips up the fear, and he manages to sell them the remedy. You see, this is one of the things that certain crooked people who play with tarot cards do. Oh my God, look at those cards. Somebody put a curse on you. I can fix that. I can remove it. It'll be $20,000. And people pay that. They believe it. That kind of thing is very bad news, and please don't even joke about it. I've been reading tarot cards for so many years, and I think only 2 times have I seen concrete readings in my cards that somebody had a curse on them, and in that case, I showed them what to do about it, and I didn't charge for that. You don't charge for things like that. That'd be like the fire department charging to put your house out, if it's on fire, out. Be worse yet if they started the fire. Be even worse yet if there was no fire and they told you there was and they convinced you there was, and then they charged you to put it out. So keep that in mind, because we're coming out, we're now out of the midterm elections here, and we're into the presidential election of 2024. It's non-stop election season in America. That's the sport now, because politics has become a blood sport, and there are whole TV channels dedicated to this. And it's all there just to keep us scared. And when you're scared, like I said, your body goes into fight or flight, which means that the blood goes into your legs and your arms, because that's what you need when you want to run and you want to hit. Where does that blood come from? Your brain. That's why you don't think well when you're in fear. That's why it is to the advantage of people who want to control us to keep us in fear. And I've been here for 11 years, and if I have one message, it's that life is not scary. It's bloody beautiful, man. I love life. I'll miss it when the time comes. Oh, man. In fact, I may come back and do it again. This time I'll come back in the past. I'll come back further. But, I don't understand the idea that you're always reincarnated into the future, because time is not linear. History is linear. Time is not linear. I would love to be reincarnated in the past. And maybe that's happened before. Maybe that's why Leonardo da Vinci invented the parachute at a time when there was absolutely no need for the parachute. Why would he do that? Maybe he remembered. Anyway, there you go. That's it. That's by way of saying it's our 11th anniversary together, you and me and the Ask One Radio system and the Ask One Radio audience, and I love it. It was a game changer in my life, and I hate missing shows, but sometimes, this year I had to, because, you don't want a guy screaming in agony doing a show. But I do have a nice supply of perfectly legal painkillers that help me go to sleep when pain is an issue, and it happens now and then. But enough about me. We're here to discuss you, and my throat is getting clogged up again. My main message to everybody is: don't be afraid of everything. Fear is important. I will never say don't ever be afraid. Just don't go through life scared and terrified, because there's a difference between terror and fear. And terror is like rage. Anger will help you. Fear is your friend. But not if you live in it full time, man. So the book is called Unmasking Fear, and you can find that at mojoacademy.org. It'll ship right out to you, and you'll get it. A very nice little book to read, and all the better because it's got 2 introductions by me. So with that said, let's get back to the tarot readings for the week, and we'll round out year 11, which began on the 10th anniversary last year, and we'll ring a bell 3 times now to declare sacred space. Pull back the curtain on the magical window, and Our first caller is Penny in Stevensville, Pennsylvania. Hi, you're on with Reverend Eliot. Are you there? Penny in Stevensville, Pennsylvania. You with me? Sounds like I got patched into a football game. No, Penny? Okay, well, let's just shuffle up the cards just to make sure that they're all shuffled up while we deal with the technical difficulties. It's funny because I didn't know, 11 years ago tonight when I did the first show, I didn't know if this would even work. I didn't know that I would be able to read cards for people like through satellites like this and all that. Hi, Penny, you're back.
Yep.
Great. How are you doing tonight, Penny?
I'm good.
Well, maybe we can make that a little better. What can I look at for you tonight?
Anything. We're waiting for a couple car settlements. Hoping to move, hoping to buy a house. Anything better than it's got to get better.
Well, yeah, that's kind of what I'm seeing here because the first card I have is the Nine of Swords. You got a lot of sorrows and troubles, correct?
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you, the next card is the Three of Rods, and that's about working with other people to wait for results to come in. So you're doing what you can and you're waiting for that to bear fruit. But we know that because of what you just said. But that's good that the card is here. It's showing that. The next card is the important one because you went from the Three of Rods to the Four of Rods, and that's a card of happiness and a happy home and having what you need. So it looks like there'll be a positive outcome in your cases.
Okay.
So that's a short and sweet reading. Is there anything else you want to look at?
Yeah. Anything that you see, I don't. How about a move?
A move?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Let's shuffle them up. The best thing is, though, that the card representing all the various sorrows, it moves from a very a sad state to a happy one. So that's good. I'm getting conflicting messages in these cards. I'm not seeing a move. I'm actually seeing also that you're feeling very stuck. That's the Eight of Swords. It's a person who feels stuck where they are. But all the other cards are happy. So that's telling me that there may be a way into happiness that you don't see yet. There's the Six of Rods is here. That's a card of great success. I'm assuming that relates to the stuff that you're working on now that you're waiting to come through. And the Nine of Cups.
I've been waiting for a while.
Yeah, well, these things take a lot of time. The Nine of Cups and the Sun are cards of happiness and joy and growth and health, and I don't see anything moving. I just see that you're pretty much overwhelmed now by feeling stuck, but that there is happiness coming down the road at you.
But hopefully, once the money comes, we can buy a house. That's what we want.
Well, yeah, let's see. Let's take a look at that. Let me just put this back here and shuffle them up and see what we get. I suspect that the cards will be good. Because whatever I have here has shown you moving from, well, there you go. The Ten of Cups is here. It's perfected happiness. And by the way, that other card, the Four of Rods that I got, means a happy home. Yeah. So it does look like that's, as they say, that's where the saying comes from, by the way, that it's in the cards. It looks good for that because the Ten of Cups is perfected happiness and joy. So I think you're going to come out of this okay. All right?
Yep.
Okay. I'll tell you what I'll do. After the show tonight, I will light a white candle to send positive energy your way. How's that?
Okay. All right.
Bye-bye now. Thanks for calling. And we're all shuffled up. You're listening to Reverend Eliot's Magical Window on the Ask One Radio Network, where we have been getting together for 11 years now on Wednesday nights. Sandra in Spring, Texas is next. Hi, Sandra. You're on with Reverend Eliot.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I guess I think I'm doing okay.
Yeah, good. As long as you can laugh, that's good too, right?
Yes.
So what can we look at, Sandra?
Who are we? Okay. My career job wise, because it's like I'm all over the place, and um, I guess I just want to know the direction that it's heading in. It's like right now, it's like my brain is just my thought process, everything from my personal life on to my job life to everything sounds like it's just going in circles.
Well, first card I have here is, and I haven't picked any out yet after this one because I want to discuss this one. It's the Four of Swords. The Four of Swords is a card of taking some time out and taking care of yourself and letting things just percolate and see what happens. It sounds like you're about due for some time off and relaxation and letting things sort themselves out, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
That's followed by the Tower. The Tower struck by lightning is an interesting card. It means that change is coming your way, and it will come suddenly, and it will upend everything. That is not necessarily good or bad. It can go either way, but the next card is very good, so it will be a good one for you. And then I'll read you like a storyline based on this, because the next is the Ace of Cups. And the cups are about happiness and emotion and feeling. And the aces are new beginnings and the beginnings of that. And then I have the Ten of Swords. I'm so happy to see that. It's one of the ugliest cards you'll ever see, but it means the worst is over. The funny thing is here, the Four of Swords, which you got at the beginning, and the Ten of Swords at the end here, both people who are not familiar with these cards, they assume that means death, because it looks like it, but it doesn't mean that at all. The Four of Swords is just lying down and taking time out. The Ten of Swords shows a person, you'll love this, lying face down in the mud with 10 swords in her back. But it isn't death. It just means that life has thrown its worst at you, and you're still here, and you're going to get up, and you're going to keep going. But that's good, because it means the worst is over. That's the best part of it. And it's not going to be too terrible at all. It's going to be difficult. All change is difficult, but it's going to be change that you want. It's going to be good change, and it's going to lead to a good awakening of happiness and joy in your life. That's what the Ace of Cups is. And it's going to come suddenly when you don't expect it. I also see new work coming your way. Are you looking to change your work?
Yes. Oh, definitely, yes.
Okay, well, that's here. That's the Ace of Rods. You have the Ace of Cups and the Ace of Rods. Aces are about beginnings. So things are going to be, new things are going to be happening to you emotionally, which is good, and new things are coming your way in terms of career and work. This is going to be
okay.
It'll be a very exciting year for you.
Okay.
I think you'll do very well with that. But the cards told me that there's a new job in your future, new career work coming your way, new opportunities. And that's why I asked you if you're looking to change. And it sounds like you really are. So if you're looking hard enough, you'll get it. Okay?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm looking very, very hard.
Yep. So that's good news. Okay. Thanks for calling.
Yes, it is. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate you.
Oh, my pleasure. Bye-bye now. And let's see what we have here now. It's a funny thing about these aces, because I have been getting aces for people since the end of 2019. And you can go back to the archives at AskOneRadio.com if you're masochistic enough. There's like 350 shows of mine there under Reverend Eliot's magical window at the AskOneRadio.com archive. And at the end of 2019, I started getting these cards, aces, for so many people. New beginnings. Something's coming, I said. I don't know what it is, but something is coming. And it's going to lead to new things happening for people. Well, of course, by March of 2020, we knew what that was, because everything got shut down and changed, and we're still dealing with all that. But yes, there were new opportunities for a lot of people, and old doors closed, new doors open. It's I don't have to explain to you what happened. You know that. You were there. You lived through it too. But that explains why the cards did that. And it's interesting now, as we approach 2023, to see aces popping up again and again. because we're still in a period of new beginnings for people. And that's good because life is what you make it. Connie in Hutchinson, Minnesota is next. Hi, you're on with Reverend Eliot.
Hi.
Hi, how are you tonight, Connie?
Hi, I'm doing good.
Well, what can I look at for you? Let's see if we can make good better. How's that?
Yeah, can you just kind of look at like the next 6 months and see what's going to happen for me?
Sure. Oh, we see now. Here we go. This is what I was just talking about, aces, and here they are. I drew 6 cards because you asked about 6 months. Very clever of me, right? But, the first card I have is the Chariot, and that is about a person who's holding things together. You know, the working hard to keep things on track. The Temperance card here, though, it's very interesting because they go hand in hand, those 2 cards. That's about balance and maintaining balance, because when you're dealing with conflicting forces, it's very hard to stay balanced, and the Chariot card is difficult. But the Temperance card shows me that you're going to succeed in that. You are balancing things out very well. The next 2 cards are aces, which tell me that there's a period of new beginnings coming your way. There's the Ace of Swords, which means that you are starting to see the world in a different way. Swords are mental activity. They can mean conflict. It all depends on the cards around them. But it's, on the whole, it's mental activity. You're coming into a period in your life where you're seeing things differently, where you see the world in a new way. The Ace of Rods is the beginning in work and career, that there's something new coming your way in terms of what you're going to be doing for a living, what you're going to be doing for a hobby, let's say, the meaning of your life, to get very vague about it. But it's the rods are what you do. It's about your work. And there's going to be new opportunities that way. And it's probably because you're going to be seeing the world in a different way. You're going to be very strong with that. The King of Cups is here. You're going to be the master of the emotions that you have. You're not going to be beaten around by people who put you into an overly emotional state. You're controlling your emotions very well. You're a very intelligent person, and you're maybe a bit more intellectual than emotional, but that isn't bad necessarily. That's just the way people are. Some of us, I'm in that group myself. The 10 of Cups is here. That is the final card I have, and that is perfected happiness and joy and all kinds of good things. So it's telling me that this 6 months is going to be a period of change for you, both mentally and in terms of work, even financially, but in terms of doing what you do. But it's going to be good for you mentally and emotionally and work-wise, and you're going to come out of this period very happy. That's what I see in these cards.
Okay, that helps. Thank you.
My pleasure. Any other questions?
Nope, that'll do it.
Great. Well, I will light a candle, a white candle, to send positive energy your way, although I think you're doing a good job on your own of creating positive energy, but I'll give you that little extra boost. How's that?
That sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you for calling. And you're going to have a wonderful 6 months. Bye-bye now. And now we've come to the halfway mark of Reverend Eliot's Magical Window, the first show of my 12th year, or the last show of my 11th year, or I never remember how that works. I had a friend when I was a kid, and way back in grade school, who always got in trouble with the teachers because he was Chinese. And there were 2 things that they didn't get about him, which is, one, that what they thought was his last name was actually his given name, what we would call the first name. And the other was that he insisted he was about a year older than the record said he was, because you're 9 months old the day you're born in the culture he grew up in. Oh, man, that just used to just annoy teachers no end, because they had the little book in front of them that said how old he was, and he said no. And then they would call him by the wrong name. They didn't know. I'll tell you something else about this. You got a moment? I'm going to tell you this. This is very funny because this is going to play into a stereotype, but it's true. So what the heck, Being just about the only kid in PS 87 at the time who was Chinese, he got made fun of a lot and pushed around a lot and teased. And it never bothered him. He was a very skinny little kid, and he was very passive about all this. It just didn't do a thing for him. He didn't care, seemingly. Okay, fine. So you want to be a doormat, you want people to step on you. Fine. A lot of us felt superior because we would fight back, But there's a famous grocery store here in the city called Fairway Market, which when I was a kid was just like a little supermarket. And it has since expanded to take over much of that block, which is next door to the famous Hotel Ansonia, where people like Enrico Caruso and Charlie Chaplin lived. But there was a Tom McCann shoe store, and above the Tom McCann shoe store was a martial arts place, a little school. And a friend of mine and I, this was along about the 4th grade, we thought it'd be fun to go up there and see what that was about. Because this was pre-Bruce Lee and all that. Nobody knew about it. So we went in there and we took a look. And there, to our surprise, was this kid we went to school with teaching classes. And he's breaking boards and he's throwing people all around the room and he's showing people how all this is done. This guy was a martial arts guy who, although he was like 9 years old, was assisting the teacher. What we were shocked about, my friend and I, was that this is the one that we said he was too much of a wimp to take care of himself and stand up to bullies. And we asked him, why do you let people do this to you? And he said, what difference does it make? It doesn't do anything to me. Well, why don't you just beat them up? I said, why? They're not doing anything that bothers me. And, we learned a lesson that day, my friend and I. At least I did. And when kids in the playground would start to tease him, we would say to them, you might want to rethink that. You might not want to do that. You may not. What are you talking about? Well, still waters run deep, which of course is very profound when you're, in the 4th grade. But I never forgot that because he could have probably just mopped up the floor with any of these guys. And it wasn't worth it to him to do it. He didn't learn to do it. The other thing was fascinating. It was the first lesson. We sat there and we saw how the first part of the class went, and they started running in place. They're just standing there running in place. And one of the kids said, when are we going to learn how to fight? And he says, you just learned how to defend ourselves. And he said, you just learned the first lesson in self-defense, which is run away. So that's pretty cool. I never forgot that. I think I saw something like that in the TV series Kung Fu in the 70s then. But there you go. You never know who you're messing with, folks. You never know. Jennifer in Oceanside, California is next. Hi, you're on with Reverend Eliot.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you tonight, Jennifer?
Doing well.
Well, let's take a look at the cards. See what is it you'd like to look at?
I guess love.
Okay. Anything in particular? Something going on, or just the future?
The guy I'm with, he had to move to the northern end of the state to help his family. So I'm sure it's my ego and my own mind getting to me, but just want to see what the cards have to say.
Okay, let's see what's going on here. It's very funny that you mentioned you said your ego and your own mind.
Yes, sir.
The first card I've got is the 7 of Cups, and that is about unfocused thoughts. It's about the imagination kind of running wild. So that's an interesting thing there. That's just a confirmation there of what you mentioned. That the Nine of Swords is here. That's a card of sadness and sorrow. You're not particularly happy about that. The Three of Swords is here. That is about sadness in a relationship. So, yeah, these aren't telling you anything. These are, you know, these things. Let's see if we can move into the future here. The Ace of Cups is here, which tells me that there's going to be a rebirth in terms of your emotions and feelings and romance. Doesn't necessarily mean with somebody else. It could be somebody else, or it could be with this person. I'm seeing happiness and joy coming your way. Literally, I'm seeing marriage in your future also, which is the Hierophant, which is a card in some decks. It's known as the Pope because it signifies religious conformity in a sense, authority rather, not conformity really, religious authority. Whenever that shows up in a romance reading, if that's the question, it's about marriage. But I'm seeing you're going through a very sad period, but you'll come out of it and you'll be very happy. Whether it's with that person or somebody else, I can't tell you right now. I don't see any indication. I just keep seeing overall, here, like the Sun and the Ten of Cups. These are all cards of great joy and happiness. The Lovers card is here. Well, that's an interesting card in this context also, not just because it's called the Lovers, but because it means you're going to be called on to make a choice. Judging by the nature of these cards, you're going to make a good choice. You know, the choice you make is going to be right for you. The World is here, which is assured success. So all these things are saying to me, don't worry about it. Whatever happens is going to work out for the best for you. Very much for the best, I might add. Now, that, as I said, I don't know if that's with the same person or with somebody else, but it's going to be good. Things are going to settle down and work out for you, okay?
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure. Bye-bye now. And let's shuffle them up. Yeah, these are... It's interesting because the feelings can be so transitory, you know? I mean, it's... We sometimes think things are like the end of the world, and then things change, you know. I mean, it's, oh boy, do things change. Things change in a heartbeat, don't they? Gee, they sure do. Ashley in Buffalo is next. Hi, you're on with Reverend Eliot.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you tonight?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Beautiful. What can I look at for you?
Maybe just, I kind of want to be more broad in this. I'm kind of going through a lot of changes. So maybe just, whatever is happening regarding love and work. General.
Let's see what shows up, because this is definitely a time of change. I mean, judging just by the cards tonight, we're moving into a time of change. And judging by what people tell me, I think we're all ready for some changes.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. Well, these are good. I had this card earlier, which is the Ten of Swords. That means that you've been through some rough times, but it's going to be over. The rough times are going to end soon. The Temperance card tells me balance will be restored. Have you felt that your life is a bit out of balance?
Yes, very much so.
Well, the Temperance card is about balance being restored, so that's good to see. And then the Sun card. This is the fourth time tonight I've gotten the Sun card. The Sun is about healing and health and growth and happiness. It's very dull. Everything is turning out nice for people, you know. It's,
yeah.
I mean, you go to the movies, and every time we read cards for people, it turns out they're going to die horribly. But it doesn't seem to be happening. You know, I feel cheated. You know, I've never predicted death, although I did get the death card for somebody, which was exactly the card he should have seen at that moment, because it was about the death card is about one phase of your life ending and another phase beginning. But I didn't. I was too new at this. I didn't explain it to him, And so he wanted to know. I've told this many times, so I'm not telling stories out of school. He had a chance to leave New York City and get a house at a phenomenally low price and open up a new business in the house doing hairstyling. And he wanted to know how things would work out if he took the chance to do this. And the card that came out was the death card, and he screamed and fainted pretty much. He slid from his chair. He hit his chin on the table. He collapsed, knocked himself out. Very bad. I'm very conscious about that death card now, but no, this is good stuff here. You'll be fine. You're gonna. I mean, I've got the nine of cups here. Tells me you're in for a very sensuous time. Pleasure. You're somebody who knows how to enjoy pleasure, and you're going to. So this is all looking very good. I'm not seeing any conflict. I'm just seeing that whatever was out of balance and troublesome is going to end, and then things look really, really good after that. So here's another one. I got this 3 or 4 times tonight, the 10 of Cups, which is perfected happiness. So you'll be fine. Is there anything else you want to look at, or anything specific? Because I've got a little time left here.
I mean, when it comes to, I'm kind of just dating a couple of guys right now, and I kind of want to know if either of them are even worth, continuing, or if there's, maybe something new coming into my near future.
Let's see. That's a good question. Well, I just got this in the previous reading. It's the Hierophant. That indicates marriage. Well, of course, the question is who. The Lover's card is here. I had that also for this person. That indicates a choice you need to make. But this is nothing you don't know. I'm not getting any indication one way or the other. I mean, the Knight of Cups is here. Now, that's interesting, because the Knight of Cups tells me that there's somebody else going to come into your life.
Okay.
And the Knights are the beginnings of something, and they can be pretty erratic, but that can also be very emotionally arousing and exciting, because it can be up and down and left and right, and it's like the horse on the chessboard. On the knight, when it shows up, it's the power appearing, and I definitely see that there's something new coming your way. That may be the nature of the choice. You're gonna have an abundance of riches here. You're gonna have several people to choose from, but keep an eye out, because there's definitely a new relationship coming your way. These cards are almost completely. Here's the 2 of Cups. You see that's what that's about. That's a card of a new relationship. This is very good. Wow. This is clear. I don't mean good or bad, is in a good or bad sense, but I mean it's very clear. I can read this clearly. Is that there is a new relationship headed your way. The 6 of Rods tells me it's going to be quite successful.
Oh, wonderful!
Now here's one of my favorite cards for this kind of thing. It's the 4 of Cups. That tells me it's somebody there's a very high likelihood that somebody is interested in you that way, but hasn't made it known yet.
Oh, okay. That's an interesting thing.
Yes. I used to say to people, so keep an eye out, see if somebody's attitude changes when you get into the room. And somebody said, well, that's good. How do I know what their attitude was before I got there? I said, oh, yeah. It made sense to me until you told me that. But you know what I mean. Yeah. You'll feel a vibe when you get in the room, if that's not too 60s of me. But there's a new relationship headed your way. Between the 2 of Cups and the Knight of Cups, I have no doubt about it.
Okay.
And just see if it may be somebody you don't know yet. Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thanks for calling. Bye-bye now.
Thank you. Okay.
And I would like to just to take a little bit of time here to reflect on the past 11 years. because my nose is a little clogged up now. This is not like a cold or anything. This happens to me when the weather gets dry from the cold. I'm probably I've had nasal trouble all my life. I'm probably the only person I've heard of who I had my tonsils taken out because my adenoids had to come out. Usually it's the other way around. Usually they take out the tonsils, and then they say, as long as we're in here, let's just get another fee and take out the adenoids. But I've had nose troubles all my life. Fortunately, I found a decongestant that works marvelously, and I am not going to mention that because I don't give medical advice. Yay, I'm one of the few people who doesn't give medical advice. Have you noticed how so many people became medical experts? So many people know all there is to know about vaccines, and so many people know all there is to know about viruses, and so many people don't know what the hell they're talking about. But, this is, I say, stick to what you know. What has happened? See, in the last 11 years now, going forward, going backward, looking backward, I would say that one of the best things that's happened to me, aside from the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people I've spoken to, gosh, I mean, and the people the relationships I've made with people off the air, people I got to know because of the show, it's just wonderful. And anybody who wants to contact me off the air, asktaro@earthlink.net is my email, asktaro@earthlink.net. I know that everybody can't get through every night. I also know that there's a lot of people who don't want to talk in front of hundreds and hundreds of thousands and thousands of millions of people, tens of billions of people, right? Hey, we don't know. This could be good. This is going out into the ether. This is going out into space. We don't know how many people are listening. We don't even know how many people are listening in the past or the future, because time is weird. But hey, you want to know more about what I do. I have expanded my website thanks to the stimulation of the conversations I've had here over 11 years. That would be magic-works.com, magick-works.com. I've expanded mojoacademy.org. These were just little teeny websites I had years ago. There's so many things there now. Mojoacademy.org is where the books are. Books, records. Look at me, records. I'd press vinyl if I could. I probably could. But it's, we make DVDs and CDs, all with occult themes, except for one of my favorites, which nobody really pays much attention to, but it's kind of a labor of love at mojoacademy.org. I have some old-time serials there. I don't think I have Captain Marvel because I believe that's under copyright, and I don't want to violate copyright laws, but there are things there like the Return of Chandu the Magician, and all these wonderful old serials. Bela Lugosi went from playing the villain in Chandu the Magician, which you can find at my website magickworks.com. There's a print there to see, not to buy, and he became the hero in the Return, in Chandu Returns, which is one of those 15-part serials. That was just I have a hankering for those old things. I kind of like them. But there's also Secrets of Success there. There's a wonderful out-of-print public domain album from the 70s called How to Pick Up Girls. And I put that there for all you people who've never spent a night in court. Because you follow the advice in this record and you'll probably be arrested. But it's a real relic of its time, and I like relics of their time, that's all. But there's wonderful books there, like Reverend Eliot's Magical Window is a book named after this show, and I dedicated it to you, the listeners of this program, because without you, I would never have written that book. And that is a book on how to read tarot cards yourself. And it comes with a CD of genuine tarot readings that are examples of the points made in that book. So if you want to do this, if you want to do what I do, and there's people have been reading tarot cards for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, check out the book, Reverend Eliot's Magical Window. It's only available through Amazon.com, but it's there, and you can find the link to it at mojoacademy.org. It's the kind of book I wish I'd had when I was learning how to read. And it has a wonderful bibliography with loads of other books that are really quite good, quite helpful. One book that I highly recommend all the time, which I didn't write, is the Tarot Workbook by Emily Peach. That is a beautiful, beautiful book. It's in 2 sections. The first section is easy, and it'll help you learn all about tarot. And the second section is very obscure. It's about the deeper metaphysical nature of tarot. That's also covered in one of my other books by a man named David Lemieux, which I understand is also the name of a hockey player. But it's called The Ancient Tarot and Its Symbolism. It's harder to find that book, but if you do find it, it's quite rewarding, and it's beautifully illustrated, and you'll see so many interesting tarot decks there. But it's a fascinating look if you want to get deeper into the cards and learn more than just divination, not fortune telling. Divination. These are 2 different things. Fortune telling is you'll meet a tall, dark stranger kind of stuff. Divination is using the divine spark and accessing. I call it the magical window because the tarot cards, through divination, allow you to see things that the senses do not perceive. You heard examples of that tonight, such as when I asked the caller if she was looking for a new job, because that's what the cards showed me. And she said, yes, absolutely. These are not tricks. You can do tricks with anything, but these are not tricks. And you'll learn about that in Reverend Eliot's Magical Window, which is a book that I do recommend highly. And I always enjoy sending out signed copies, if that means anything. But oh gosh, and that was only written because I was inspired by all the wonderful experiences I've had here. I have not had a bad moment with anybody through Ask One Radio. Not just the callers, of course. I mean, the people behind Ask One Radio are just delightful, beautiful people. And if you have in the back of your mind an itch to do this kind of stuff, and get on video and radio. I think I'm the last person doing exclusively radio, but those days are numbered. Yes, I will admit it. I've been doing video tests. Yes, I will admit it. I've been shedding a little weight, Oh, vanity, right? And if you want to do this, this is the place to do it. This is the place to do it, is Ask One Radio, because it is the most positive group of people I've ever been associated with. Do you think I'd be here 11 years if I didn't like this? Come on. Like I said, I've had marriages that didn't last this long. Not the current one. The current one, I don't know. I don't think I'm too old to say one day it's going to be my 40th anniversary at Ask One Radio, but those are the 2 most important anniversaries in my life. And yes, it did change my life, doing Ask One Radio and being with you guys every Wednesday when I'm available. I promise every year, I promise not to miss any shows, but then every year something happens because we're only human and we're frail. And we'll shuffle up the cards one more time, and I am going to see what's in my future. How's that? Got 2 minutes left. Let's see, what do I have here? Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's fascinating. That's marvelous. Oh, wait a minute. You want me to tell you? Do you want me to tell you what I see here? Oh, gosh. I got the King of Coins. That's the first card I got. Now, that's interesting because that's a card that suits. That's my significator as a tarot reader. The King of Coins is a mature in age person who's Capricorn. But I'm just getting cards of happiness and joy, and that's what I'm feeling. Well, we got about a minute and a half to go, so I might as well wrap it up and just tell you thank you for the last 11 years, and I'm looking forward to the next 11 years with you. You can contact me anytime, as I said, at Ask One. Ask Tarot, ASKTAROT at earthlink.net, and I will get back to you. And I do offer a free mini reading to all the Ask One Radio listeners. I'll be happy to pull a few cards for you. No charge. That's my gift back to you. And let's see, mojoacademy.org we mentioned. That's where the books are. Magic-works.com. I got like 100 pages there, and I'm adding them all the time. Take a look at the occult jewelry page. That's one of my favorite things. As soon as we're done here tonight, I'm going to design some more jewelry to put there. But that's about it. That's the end of the 10th year, and now into the end of the 11th year. See, there I go again. 10th anniversary started year 11. So what can you do? The first anniversary started the second year, so there it is. I've got to run now. So remember, time flies. It's up to you to be the navigator. See you next week. Bye bye now.